Hello and welcome to the Daily Royal. My name is Shelby and I have been a royal watcher for the past 10 years. In this podcast, I talk about the daily events of 7 of the European monarchies. So I talk about Belgium, the UK, Denmark, the Netherlands, Norway, Spain, and Sweden. I upload Monday through Friday with occasional bonus episodes here and there. Today we are talking about all of the events from Wednesday, September 8th of 2021. You guys, I'm not going to lie, I'm on the struggle bus today. I just am not doing great. So we're just going to jump in and get through this. We have something from everyone, which is lovely. Really it is. I'm just struggling a bit. It's, I don't know why. It's just been a hard day for some reason. So anyway, we are going to jump right in and we are going to start with the Belgian royal family. Belgium. In Belgium, we have a couple of different events. So King Philippe started his day. He received the credentials from the new ambassadors. So he met with 4 new ambassadors from Bhutan, Vietnam, Mexico, and Guatemala. It's really interesting because the royal household didn't actually release any photos of this. They just had it on their website, which is very strange for them to do. They don't do that very often where they skip things. Like, there are some royal households that don't put everything on their social media, which is fine. But, like, Belgium is not usually one of them, so Belgium is pretty diligent about putting their events on social media. And they put the other 2 for today on. They also just, like, don't have quality pictures of the event, which is, again, fine. It's just different. It's also, I wonder if that was a thing that they were doing in the pandemic era because there just wasn't a lot else happening. But because I only followed for such a short amount of time in January of 2020 and like early on in 2020 before the pandemic, I just don't know. So that was really interesting. But then he also today visited a youth center in, I believe, Maroles. I said that in a non-French accent. I said it with a Spanish accent. Anyway, so he visited this center to learn about the activities and workshops that are offered there. It looked like it was really geared towards like teen youth, which I think is really good. And really important. And yeah, that's all the information I could find on it. Like, basically everything in the tweet was pretty standard. So again, fine, just a little bit different. So that is what was going on for King Philippe. And then today, Queen Mathilde also participated in a virtual event hosted by the United Nations on mental health and peace building. So she gave a speech ahead of the event. So she was like the keynote speaker, where she talked a lot about prevention measures and different things along those lines in terms of both mental health and also peace building and peacekeeping missions that the UN do. In like civil war torn countries or just various countries that need this. So a busy day for the Belgian royal family, lots to update on there, and now we are going to move over to the British royal family. The United Kingdom. In the UK today, there was one event. So apparently the Duchess of Cornwall's event in London last week was a fluke because today they were both back in Scotland. So the Prince of Wales and Duchess of Cornwall took on a few engagements today in Glasgow, which is in Scotland. They visited the Kelvin Grove Art Gallery and Museum to mark its 120th anniversary. So this is really cool. It's one of the last functional art galleries from Queen Victoria's age. So that's really cool. And then in the afternoon, the Prince of Wales visited the Govan Home and Education Link project, or Govan Help. in Glasgow that is a like community-based organization that works on various supportive projects to support the community. So that was his event. I just want to comment, like, really quickly, again, not a fashion podcast by any stretch of the imagination. Certainly not a thing that, like, I should even come close to talking about sometimes. But I'm not sure why Charles uses the face mask he does. I appreciate that he's wearing one, like, given the UK's situation and the UK rules, like, yay for him doing that. But it's just a very interesting choice. It's very strange. I can't tell if it has the Prince of Wales feathers on it. I don't think it does. I think it's just, like, a completely random thing that he's really into, and it cracks me up. It is the funniest mask, like, face mask that I have seen. And I've seen some, like, it's not funny like it's meant to be a joke. It's just, of the royal ones we have seen, his shows the most character. And I don't know that that's not in and of itself funny. It's just, like, of course his is the one that stands out. The Duchess of Cornwall, Camilla, has some really interesting face masks as well that I find it funny. I don't know why I find it funny. I just do. I think because everyone else who wears a face mask wears typically boring ones. The Duchess of Cambridge wears, like, a specific one, and she has it in every color, which, like, I feel that. I've mentioned this before. I don't typically wear cloth masks. I wear medical, like, paper masks. They're just more comfortable for me. But I work where I work, I wear a cloth mask because it just makes more sense. And so my cloth masks, I just own the same brand in, like, several different variations now because they're really comfortable. And, like, they're almost as good as paper masks to me in terms of, like, breathability. For those who don't know, I just have a really hard time breathing sometimes, especially with masks on. Everyone does. I certainly still wear my mask. It's not a problem. I just had to find a mask that worked for me. And that ended up being, like, paper medical folding masks. They work better for me. So that's what I use. For a while I didn't wear a mask. And then I think people in the States will forever be in masks. It's just the way it is now. And that's okay. I found my faves and we'll wear them. So anyway, that is the update. I just found Charles's mask really funny. We do see the Duke of Cambridge tomorrow, for his first engagement after the summer. I'm trying to think, and I think the last time we saw him was it the Euro Cup final? Like, it's probable that that's when it was. It seems very likely that that's the last time we saw him. Which, for reference, was, like, the end of July. So, there's that. But anyway, so that's what's going on in the UK, and so now we are going to move over to the Danish royal family. Denmark. There was a lot going on in Denmark. Like, I really thought it was going to be just Crown Princess Mary's trip to Italy, and that was, like, not it at all today. So first we'll go with Queen Margrethe, who attended the movie premiere of Margrethe the First, who is Queen Margrethe's namesake. But she was the Queen of Denmark and probably Norway, which also means Sweden in this context. And so she maybe was even, like, the unifier of the three countries, because for a while the three countries were, like, all a country, and then they split off, and Denmark was its own thing, and then Norway and Sweden were its own country, and then Norway separated from Sweden fairly recently. Like, not super recently, but King Harald is, I believe, just the third king of Norway. which is pretty recently. And so Marguerite the First was a queen consort, and she also then became queen regent for her 2-year-old son, who was elected king of Denmark, which is how that works. So, fun fact, for these, like, newer countries that created monarchies, Denmark is not a new country, but, like, when they picked their monarch, it's an election situation. Just saying, like, it's a choice. It's a political choice. So, like, for example, Belgium, like, picked its own king, and picked Leopold. And the Netherlands did the same thing. They picked their own king from the Prince of Orange. And that's just, like, how that existed. Spain is kind of similar in that they picked, well, sort of. They did not pick. It was picked for them. That Juan Carlos would be the successor to the dictator Franco. Like, Franco picked him, hand-selected him, which is not fair, and I'll give the Spanish people that. Like, they didn't really have a choice in whether they were going with a monarchy or not. It was thrust upon them, and then the one smart brain cell that Juan Carlos had was to make his country a democracy, but not let himself, not let the country choose whether he would be king or not. That part was just a given. The democracy was the good part. But anyway, that's my little spiel. I just think it's funny that, like, these kings are supposedly holy and next to God, but, like, are picked. Now, they are all from royal families, I understand, but, like, still, they are just picked. So anyway, she was the queen regent for her son, who was 2, who was the king of Denmark, and then she became queen regent for her other minor child, who was king of Norway, another son. So, very interesting. I probably will figure out how to watch that movie when it's, like, reasonable to do so. I highly doubt I can find any version of it right now, especially with English subtitles. So, that is the first bit of the Danish royal family's events today. Next, we have Crown Prince Frederik, who visited the Royal Run side project, which is a accessory event to the Royal Run, which takes place on Sunday. I'm so excited for this event. You guys have no idea. It's unreal. I don't know why, other than, like, it just kept getting postponed last year because obviously, and, like, it got postponed once this year, and, like, now it's actually happening. And also, for those who are keeping track with me, I said I really wonder if, like, handshakes are going to be back in Denmark because Denmark no longer has any, like, COVID regulations because of their vaccination rate and how well the country is doing in terms of transmission and things like that. They were able to, like, live COVID. They're trying to, like, go back to normal life. And Crown Prince Frederik was shaking hands today. It shocked me to the point I almost had tears because I hadn't seen that in so long. I haven't read if there's any backlash on that or anything, but, like, you guys, just, it feels like there's an end in sight, at least for the 7 countries I follow, for some of them, not for all, but for some, but, like, man, for me, there's just no end in sight. But anyway, this side project is an accessory to the Royal Run that doesn't involve, like, a physical race. So there are different projects, different events that happen that are still really engaging and, like, community building and have a competition element to them, but they're not a physical, like, race. They're not a run or anything like that, so it's not as physically taxing. So that was really cool. But really my key takeaway was the handshake. I think there was only one, but still, like, I'm hanging on to it for dear life because it was amazing. And then finally, we have Crown Princess Mary, who is in Milan for the second day of Milan Design Week. Today, her focus was on Danish designers, furniture builders, and like textile companies. So she visited a few of those locations, because Milan Design Week is all about like furniture design and home everything, like home interior decorating, etc. So she visited a few of the Danish stores that are in Milan and also set up for Design Week. So that was really, really cool. I believe today is her last day there. I don't think they have anything on the calendar for tomorrow. So I believe today is her last day there. And then Royal Run this weekend is the next time we will see her, and that is, like I said, on Sunday. So that is what was going on in Denmark today. It was a really fun day, lots of learning, and so with that, we are going to go ahead and move over to the Netherlands. The Netherlands. Today was relatively quiet in the Netherlands, given the busyness of the past few days, but I will say there were still a good few things. It's just they weren't highly talked about. So this morning, King Willem-Alexander received the credentials from new ambassadors. He received the credentials from the new ambassadors from Pakistan, Malaysia, and Denmark. And so that was something, and just like a little throwback to Belgium and what, they publicize and don't. So the Dutch royal family never publicizes the ambassador credentials. I don't know why, but they just don't. But it is still a very similar setup. The ambassadors arrive in carriages to the palace. They present their credentials. It's very formal. The only thing that is like mildly different versus some of the counterparts is King Willem-Alexander doesn't wear like a military uniform. That's not his like gala code. And so like in Sweden and Spain and Belgium, they all do wear their military uniforms. And I don't know about Norway. When Crown Prince Haakon was doing it, they released a picture of that yesterday. He didn't, but he's not king, he was regent, so I'm like, I don't really know. I don't know what the Norwegian protocol is in terms of that, but like for Denmark and the United Kingdom, the queens do not wear like gala, they wear like day wear. And so King Willem-Alexander will wear a morning coat that like is tails, but a suit like with the Windsor tie. I don't know. It's a very specific look. I don't even think I just said specific, but that's what I meant to say. I really think Pacific came out of my mouth. I don't know. I'll find out in editing. I'm still going to keep this in there though. Okay, so that was the first event, and then King Willem-Alexander also had a meeting today with the president of Suriname, who is on a working visit to the Netherlands to continue their strengthened bilateral relationship. That is what the press release said. They did release a photo of that, although I still don't think they released that on social media either. Maybe they did. I don't remember. I didn't find it. Yeah, I did find it on social media. Okay, so they did. I literally just saved pictures and I already forget what I did. Oh boy. Okay, so that is what was going on in the Netherlands. Not a huge update there. There are a few events scheduled for tomorrow as well, so we are in full swing, guys. We are just in full swing. So much for like a slow swim back to normal for this week. I really thought it was going to be a little slower, and it just is not. And that's okay. I love it, but it's been a hard week. Just while I continue to adapt to things. But I have no doubt that I will be able to. I just gotta, 1, not be still sick, and 2, get in a good routine, which I'm getting there. I'm changing a lot. So I'm changing my recording time, and like that's not going well for me so far. and tomorrow is going to be a really tough day, but we'll see how it goes. So with that, we are going to leave the Netherlands and move over to the Norwegian royal household. Norway. In Norway today, there was, I guess, technically 2 events. So a couple of days ago, I mentioned that there was an event going on that was taking place over 3 days that I expected them to announce today after it was over, which they did, and the reason being that it was actually a military thing. So Crown Prince Haakon visited the land defense operation in Finnmark with the Norwegian army, I would assume. Land defense is army, typically. So he was up there for a few days learning about the different operations going on in that area. So obviously that's like a security thing why they hadn't released too much of it. I will say it looked cold, which of course it did. It's like northern Norway, I think. But still, it looked very cold, which is, very sad. I don't know. I don't like being cold, which is interesting. I just don't like being cold. I so live in the wrong part of the States for what my body enjoys climate-wise. But anyway, so it looked cold, and I am really out of my depth. And also they didn't release a ton of information, obviously, because it's like national security, national defense operations and things like that. So they can't release a ton other than he was focused on operations. But they did release a couple of pictures, which is how I know it looked cold. So that was the first update, and then also today, but probably not actually today, like it was a pre-recorded thing sent out today, Crown Prince Haakon opened the Boys Campus Conference, which is a meeting focused on the societal challenge that Norway is having of young boys dropping out of school, work, and it says and community, which makes sense because if you drop out of school and you drop out of work, you really don't have much else going on. And so this conference, Boys Campus, is set out to solve that problem. Because one, that has a huge impact on like the singular person who has stopped participating in these things. It has a huge impact on them. But 2, it also creates like a societal wave, aftershock of that, where there's one less body in the workforce, which can lead to underserved areas. Like it's just a ripple effect of not good things. So figuring out how to solve that challenge early and quickly, and prevention measures are really, really important. So that is what I think the conversation was about. Based on everything that I read. So that is the update from Norway. Again, not like a huge amount of events, but when it's something from everybody like this, it feels like a very momentous day. So with all of that, we are going to move over now to the Spanish royal family. Spain. Today in Spain was a day of pretty expected events. So, not that they weren't fun, but like they were expected. They follow a similar pattern. So today King Felipe held a meeting with the outgoing Secretary General of Iberoamerica, which is that organization or alliance of the Iberian Peninsula and most of Latin America. Not all of, but most of. And so, like I said, the Secretary General is outgoing, so this was like the final meeting between King Felipe and her. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing, which is one of arguably my favorite events on the Spanish royal calendar, like, at least that Queen Letizia does solo. So, like, obviously, like, the big family events are way more fun to talk about, but, like, even this one is just really cute, and it's really just because, like, Queen Letizia and small children is, like, my jam. It's one of my favorite things. A lot of the queens and crown princesses have this, but, like, I don't know, with Letizia, it's, like, a whole day level. So anyway, today she officially opened the 2021-2022 school year at a primary school and then a secondary school in Zaragoza. Yeah, Zaragoza. So what I just love about this is, like, children are really unpredictable. And they're always so spontaneous and fun. As a person who now works with children every single day of my life, like every single day I'm at work, they're just the funniest humans in the world. And it's just really entertaining because some days they have, like, really great days and they say the funniest things. And then other days it's like, oh, well, this was cool. Or they're just, like, having really bad days. Like, today I made a baby cry, and it was really sad. But then I had a child who was, like, laughing hysterically because she thought I was so funny. So it's just, like, a wide variety of things, and it's just fun. But, like, with this event, you know, obviously the children know, like, oh, we have a special visitor coming, it's the queen, like, all of these things, right? And they know her name is Queen Letizia. And so there's a video moment of Queen Letizia, like, introducing herself to a little girl, and she just says, like, oh, I'm Letizia. Like, she doesn't say queen, whatever. Like, she doesn't do that. And then this child just, like, loses her mind and runs and hugs her. Like, she just loses all sense of, like, propriety, which is fine, and I love it. And that's why this is, like, one of my favorite events, because there's always something so spontaneous that happens at this that it's, like, really funny and entertaining. So it's just one of my favorite days that happen, especially in September, where it's just, like, days full of these annual events that happen every year. So, like, coming down the pike, when I talk about things that happen every year, probably next week, Queen Letizia will open the, like, course for, like, technology schools, so, like, higher education, like, tech training trade schools. King Philippe will open the college year. Like, it's just a lot of expected things. And they're all really fun, and, like, there's some other things that I'm sure are going to be thrown in that are new and different, but for the most part, like, this is what we're getting. And I'm sure there's ones I'm forgetting. So this is just, like, one of my favorite, like, annual things because kids are hilarious. So anyway, that is the update from the Spanish royal family, and now we are going to move over to the Swedish royal family. Sweden. In Sweden today, obviously the biggest event is that day 2 of the German state visit to Sweden. And wow, I just had this one guessed all wrong. I did not expect the royal family to participate in the state visit as much as they did. I'm not entirely sure why. I guess because I haven't seen, like, that many state visits this closely in terms of, like, what I'm watching, and 2, like, the few outgoing ones that I have seen, like, the welcoming head of state was not involved in every event like the Swedish have been, and so this is kind of what I love, right, is, like, comparing and contrasting these royal families, because they all virtually serve the same function. I mean, they do, they're all kings and queens, etc., but the way they execute their role is a little bit different, and I just think it's fun to see. So today, King Carl Gustaf and Queen Sylvia welcomed the German presidential couple to Drottningholm, which is the official residence of King Carl Gustaf and Queen Sylvia. That is where they primarily live. Of course, they have all the other palaces, but that is like their home. And so they went there. They did a little welcome, like tea, I think maybe, and then gave a tour around the castle. And then after that was the official lunch, which the entire Swedish royal family participated in. So I haven't seen, like, the royal household didn't release a ton of great pictures from the lunch, but, like, obviously King Carl Gustaf and Queen Sylvia were there with the presidential couple. Crown Princess Victoria and Prince Daniel were there. And then from, I think, the photos I saw, I think Prince Carl Philippe and Princess Sophia were also there. So that was great. And then in the afternoon, King Carl Gustaf and President Steinmeier visited various organizations. So, like, one was Scania, which is a transportation company that is owned or was bought by Volkswagen, which is a German-owned car manufacturer. And then Queen Sylvia and the First Lady of Germany visited the Sylvia home, which I talked about, which is like that center for dementia care. They also visited the German school in Stockholm. So they just visited like various organizations that really focused on that relationship between Germany and Sweden together, which is really great. And then it looks like tomorrow King Carl Gustaf and Queen Sylvia will participate in like the final day of things. So we'll certainly talk about that tomorrow. So with all of that, that is the end of this episode. I hope I didn't go through that too fast. I certainly am trying to make my episodes not short, but like between 30 and 35 minutes. That used to be the goal. And then in August, it kind of in July, they're really short. In August, they're really long because they're weekly. So just getting back in this 35-minute space is really important. So that is what is going on. Tomorrow will be the last episode for the week. So we'll talk about all of the Thursday events. And then I'll record again on Sunday. And that'll be everything from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that'll be the schedule. So the posting schedule doesn't change yet. I'm hoping it doesn't have to, but right now it is certainly going to stay as is. And so with that update, I will talk to you all tomorrow. Have a fantastic day. Bye.